my end, and you're questioning whether he's going to be able to be that number one type guy, and he's kind of living on the hype. No offense to him, but this is a completely different system.
I'm not sure. I mean, he did play well last year when Dennis Allen was running a lot of similar coverage schemes.
Yeah,
that we had.
but that was still a lot of man coverage, man. They were still trying to be the Seahawks with that, cover one, cover three.
I think we saw more zone this year than we may in the future because we had so many young defensive backs out there who were really inexperienced. And I think that Dennis Allen was trying to make it a little easier on them by giving them that breathing room, putting them in position to keep the play in front of them, and really just process things a little easier rather than in a bump and run coverage, lining up on the line of scrimmage and man, whatever it may be. So we may see him mix and match some things next year where Bro will have an assignment that's a little different from other guys on the back end. But I do agree that we can't view Bro as our lockdown one-on-one number one corner next year. We saw what happened this year with after he broke his leg, coming back from that, he just lacked confidence in it, and that showed in his game. He just wasn't the same guy he was the year before. Now, hopefully he'll be in better shape next year. He can come in and contribute right away. We'll have to wait and see. But right now I'm not planning on that, and that's not reflected in how I'm looking at approaching the offseason.
Well, if that's the case, it sounds kind of like you're siding with me and Brian, which takes that cornerback number that most Saints fans put it needing just one corner to then needing two. And, I mean, that's a real big hole.
Yeah, we need at least two. I could definitely see us signing a higher end guy like AJ Bowie from Houston, someone you mentioned earlier.
And they run a lot of zone. That's why I like him.
Yeah, and he has experience at nickel and on the boundary. He's played 75% of his snaps this year at that right corner spot. So he's not just a nickel corner whose stats are inflated from lining up against the receiver.
Pile on top of that, he actually he earned that. He started off as the nickel corner, did so well. They put him on the outside, and then he started doing so well there too. So it's not like, an injury happened and he got thrust there. He kicked the guy ahead of him out because he was doing so well.
Yeah. Now he's probably going to get $8 million a year in free agency,
which I will gladly pay. Yeah,
definitely. And that's a really good number for him, I think. Now there are other guys. I think Brian mentioned Tremaine Johnson earlier. We've also got Stephon Gilmore out of Buffalo. I mean, if we have to keep signing Buffalo Bills until one hits, so be it. But but the free agent market at corner looks to be in pretty good shape. Looking at the draft, that edge rusher, that defensive end position is the clear strength of this draft. By my count, there's 17, 18 guys who are in that first round conversation right now. And who knows where it could go as more and more guys declare.
Well, let me throw this at you then. We've agreed that we need two corners. Brian and I have agreed on that point for probably a couple months now. So even though it would make Saints fans so irate, like on the level of trading back and picking an Alabama running back in the first round irate, would you be that upset? Because we both agree there is a lot of depth. There's going to be starter quality edge rushers in the second round. Are you going to be okay if the Saints decide to go cornerback at 11?
I mean, if that's the best player available, then go for it. Just seize the day and go and get your guy. I don't think
look, Saints fans would be ticked. They'd be mad, real mad if we do that. If we've got people like Tim on the board and Barnett, and then we go and get a corner, they're going to be mad.
Yeah, the ghost of Patrick Robinson would be. Yeah, we'd be haunted by the ghost of Patrick Robinson and Stanley Jean-Baptiste, and I don't think anybody wants that on us. But
ooh, the nasty ghost.
Yeah, real bad characters there. If there's a corner they really like, if they fall in love with somebody like Sidney Jones, somebody who declared for the draft today, actually, or somebody who else was highly rated, and maybe a Quincy Wilson from Florida, then full steam ahead, go and get your guy, and let's see what we can make happen in the second round.
Well, I mean, and it's one of those things that we don't necessarily have to go. Maybe I'm just, trying to poke the bear here, but I think that we've kind of, as fans, and even a lot of, us bloggers and writers, aren't really even considering corner in our mock drafts in the first round. But I think the Saints have shown that they're willing to, not for the sake of surprising us, but they like surprising us, and while we've been able to predict things, especially like Mike Detillier predicted Brandon Cooks, Mike Miller from BR predicted Mike Thomas in the second round of the Saints. I had Stanley Jean-Baptiste coming to the Saints, things like that you can kind of guess. There's also been those completely off-the-wall moves you really didn't see coming, like the Andres Pete. Not a lot of people saw that coming. They might have seen the position maybe, but not the player. So that's why I'm kind of thinking, Saints fans, they better start preparing themselves. Something like that could happen in the first round.
I would implode. And it's not even for the fact that the Saints don't need corner. I just don't feel like there's a guy at 11 that's worth taking, especially if at that point you have a guy like Derek Barnett or you have a guy like Reuben Foster that's still on the board. I understand it's all about best play available, but let's just be honest. I don't think Craig Robertson is the answer at middle linebacker, and I definitely don't believe the Saints have cured that. They're going to cure their woes in free agency. The signing of James Laurinaitis was bad enough. Don't compound that by going and get another guy. Now, if the Saints happen to do something smart via free agency, like maybe sign A.J. Klein from the Carolina Panthers or someone like that, then okay, if you pass on Reuben Foster, who I think could play any linebacker spot you put him in, that makes a little bit more sense. But if you don't have a middle linebacker and you pass on Reuben Foster and you draft a corner, I might implode.
Well, there's only one corner that I can think that has a top 20 grade, let alone a top 10. I think most people have Marlon Humphrey there. We know Sean Payton likes Alabama guys. Hey, I didn't say I had him there. I said a lot of people have him there. I don't. I think he's benefiting from the best front seven I might have ever seen in college football. But a lot of people have him there. But there's calm down, John. I didn't say I like the guy. I think he's the beneficiary of a great front seven. But he's up there.
Like Marlon Humphrey. That's what I thought I heard you say.
No, I said he's probably the only guy by most people that's got a top 20 grade on him. I didn't say I like him.
You did it again. You just said you liked him again.
Another guy who might have a similar type grade, maybe y'all don't hate this guy as much, Jackson out of USC. He's a fast guy, 4'4". You like speed on the outside, and he's got a first-round grade, probably not as high as Humphrey. I'd be pretty upset if we went Humphrey because anybody who picks the cornerback in the first round who had people like Foster and Allen and all these other guys in front of him is an idiot. To me, that's something I expect the Browns to go draft in the middle of the first round. They're going to go after Humphrey and be very, very, very disappointed. But there are a couple of corners who have first-round grades that are probably going to fall because of the amount of pass rushers and things that are available. But I think that could play to the Saints' advantage if they wanted to target that. And I'm just throwing it out there because everybody needs to keep in the back of their mind that the Saints like to do whatever the heck the Saints like to do, regardless of it's the best thing for them.
Yeah, and cornerback is seen as another position that's really strong in this draft, and that's something I would agree with. There's plenty of guys I really like in the second and third round. First-round corners is kind of slim pickings because there's so many questions around the guys. Like, can Adoree Jackson refine his technique at the next level? Can Marlon Humphreys play behind a front seven that's not killing everyone in front of them on every down?
All Americans.
Yeah, and he has 7 All-Americans in front of him.
Desmond King.
Yeah, Desmond King is my guy, man. He fits our zone, looks really well. He's somebody who, if you recall, look back at the Chiefs game where we gave up like the 67-yard touchdown run. Sterling Moore, yeah, I think it was the Chiefs. Anyway, they've got a receiver in the backfield. They hand off to the receiver, and certainly Moore is in the flat to make the tackle, whiffs on it, and the receiver is off to the races, 60-yard touchdown. Desmond King has been in that same position on almost every week playing for Iowa, and I have yet to see him give up that long play like that. He's one of the surest tacklers in the draft. Even though he's a little shorter than you might like, he's a shutdown zone corner. He looks a lot like someone like Chris Harris of the Denver Broncos, and that's definitely somebody the Saints could use as their number 2 corner.
Well, let me throw this one out there to y'all, to both of you. I want to get you guys' opinions. If we decide to do the logical thing, which we're talking about the Saints, so y'all need to stop getting your hopes up. But if we decide to do the whole wait to the middle of the rounds to address corner, I decided to go back and watch this guy who is a smaller corner. But usually when you have these smaller guys, they're really good zone guys. And this guy to me looks like a good zone type guy. And that's DeMonte Kazee out of San Diego State. He's got anywhere from a 3rd, 4th, 5th round draft, grade on him. But 8 passes broken up, 7 interceptions, 60 tackles, good eyes, good instincts, but he's small. He's 185 pounds and 5'11". He's not going to punch people in the face. But I think in Dennis Allen's system, that's not a bad fit. And if you remember when he was with us the first time, we didn't exactly have massive corners.
No, Tracy Porter was a small guy in comparison, man. Like, he was really slim. I don't think people really understand that. Tracy Porter was a small dude, man. He wasn't.
Well, not just Tracy. Greer only weighed like $165.
Yeah,
he's a little man. You walk up to him, you're like, this guy goes to art galleries and stuff. He didn't play football. He didn't play football. He was little.
Small guy, fast guy. So, it kind of fits the mold of what Dennis Allen was able to do during that, that magical season, man, when he first got into coaching with Sean Payton. But, I'm actually okay with anybody not in the first round. You want to go second round for a cornerback, be my guest. Personally, I think the Saints should try to do what they do best, which is, make some smart, shrewd moves in the offseason to address positions of need, and then in the draft, go with best player available. But if a cornerback is there and he's the best player available, don't pick a cornerback. I'm sorry. I have no trust in their ability to pick a corner that's going to be a long-term success, especially not at 11. If we're talking, 18th pick of the draft, then I'm like, maybe. But to me, 11 is top 10, and you don't pick there's no corner in this draft that's worth the top 10 pick. Don't pick corner. Go with another offensive lineman for all I care. Just don't pick corner.
Well, because we know the Saints organization loves you so much, Brian, we're going to pass that along, and then they're definitely going to draft cornerback in this company.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm blocked by pretty much the entire team. But hey.
What about you, John? Just because I threw that name out there, have you gotten to watch Kazee's film at all, and do you share the same kind of opinion I have? Now, because he's from a smaller school, I'm not able to watch a ton of stuff, so I'm trying to hunt down film to watch on him. But I've liked what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I've been doing some Senior Bowl prep work, and Kazee is a guy I've watched. I think I watched a game or two of. I think they played Utah, the one I caught. He reflects a lot of the things he said. He's a good zone corner. He's pretty quick on his feet. Gets his head around pretty well. I didn't think he was penalized very often, so that's a good sign for a young corner. So he's somebody we're going to see at the Senior Bowl, and I really am looking forward to getting that live action look at him. Someone I'm really high on from the West Coast would be Chidobe Awuzie from Colorado, who was a real big reason in their comeback to relevance this year. Chidobe's had, 14, 15 tackles for loss in his career. He's an extremely physical, very athletic corner who can play zone and man coverage. He can play inside and out. I really like the idea of signing A.J. Bowie in free agency and then drafting Chidobe in round 2 or maybe round 3 if he falls that far, and having a lot of flexibility with what you can do with your coverages between the two of them.
Just because you started drooling over numbers, let me give you Kazee's numbers. He has 14.5 tackles for loss over his career, but over the past 2 seasons, 15 interceptions, 15 pass deflections. I like that a lot. I like it a lot.
All right. I'll do you one better. Let me pull up Chidobe's numbers here. Okay.
Oh, and by the way, while you're pulling up those numbers, Kyle Mosley, the owner, CEO, operator, everybody